接下来的这个第3个叫做傻瓜才愿意免费，这个讲的人是 Steve Jobs， 他也吃素。1976年共同创办苹果电脑，1985年他被迫离职，1996年11年以后他又返回苹果。他也是 Pixar 的共同创办人，他现任 Apple 的 CEO。大概全世界现在很多人都在注意他3月份他要讲什么，因为他很可能会推出一个新的东西。那么他要跟大家说什么呢？他要跟大家说的一个故事是这个。这个是1970年代在美国的一本杂志，出了几期以后，1期5块钱美金，出了几期以后，它的原来杂志的名字叫做 The Whole Earth Catalog。那出了几期以后，它变成 The Last Whole Earth Catalog。1970几年大概就是我在东海的那一段时间了哈。那其实我在东海也出了2本杂志，那也大概都是3期就死掉了这样杂志。不过那个时候大概大家都很喜欢出杂志。那他用他的这个杂志他用这一本杂志跟大家分享什么呢？他用这一本杂志跟大家分享的是说，这本杂志结束的时候，它的封底，这是封面，这是封底，它的封底有一张照片，就是一条路。就是普通的一条乡间的路，这个路上当成它结束的一个封底，其实很好。它等于是说，它结束，但是它路没有完。它在上面写了2段小小的字，那么这2段小小的字是 Steve Jobs 要跟大家分享的。那2段小小的字说 ：“Stay hungry, stay foolish。”就是让自己一直很饿，让自己一直很呆啊，这个是成功的密码。在我们开始看这个影片之前，我先简单的介绍一下这个影片在哪里发生哈。这个影片不是在 TED， 它是Steve Jobs 被邀请到斯坦福大学的一个毕业典礼上面去做一个简短的演讲。他跟斯坦福大学的学生去分享他自己人生上的几个经历，还有他这些经历对他的这个影响跟体认。那我自己觉得他讲得非常好，那么当成是我们在这个课程里面，因为我们下一次的课程是整理我们所有的这个讲过的重点，跟大家做一次总的复习，所以这个算是当成是一个结语的影片哈。那我们来先看看他的说法。
This program is brought to you by Stanford University. Please visit us at stanford.edu.
Thank you. I'm honored to be with you today for your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why'd I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set, for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
刚刚我们有同学谈到说，如果现在我是在中型曲线的前面，我怎么样去想到后面的事情？这一段大概就可以跟我们很重要的一个分享。我们其实不需要去想。我们只需要当我们经过的时候回头去看，你就知道所有你现在做的事情都有意义，因为你每一个做的事情都是在累积未来的事情。所以这也是为什么我跟同学常常说，你现在要想的事情，要观察的事情，就要让它对你有意义。那 Steve Jobs 在这个时候他告诉我们，包括他决定从大学退学，因为不想给他的这个父母有那么大的负担，他现在看起来都觉得是一个非常好的决定啊。所以 我想这些 connecting the dots， 就是说所有你现在看起来好像是不相干的点点，到最后它会连在一起。那么这个连在一起，对他的人生是有很大的帮助。
And that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything you thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy where they stuck an endoscope down my throat, through my stomach and into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas and got a few cells from the tumor. I was sedated, but my wife, who was there, told me that when they viewed the cells under a microscope, the doctors started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma.
这句话是很重要的，就是说，虽然你们很年轻，可是你们的时间还是有限的，所以不要浪费。
Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, not far from here in Menlo Park, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was in the late 60s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stuart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth Catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Stanford University. Please visit us at stanford.edu.
我们刚刚看的这段影片呢，是这个 Steve Jobs 在 几年前告诉这个斯坦福大学的学生、毕业学生呢，送给他们的一些经历，所以我觉得它是一个很好的，可以跟各位在课程的最后第2堂跟大家来分享。那尤其是 "Stay hungry, stay foolish" 这个非常具有诗意，也具有哲理的一段话啊。那它的最后一段，事实上是在提醒年轻人，年轻是很快失去的，因为在我这个开始晓得有 Steve Jobs 这个人，我感觉也不过是不久以前的事情，可是他已经50几岁了，我已经60岁，很快。在这中间，他改变了世界，他事实上让世界变得很大。可是从他自己的分享中间，你可以去了解到一件事情，就是说，每一件你看起来不开心的事情，其实都很重要。包括他自己出生的时候，他的母亲没有办法养他，就想让他去认养，帮他安排认养给一个律师的家庭，可是人家说不要，所以临时半夜说有没有人要这个小孩，有一对工人的父母就来把他领养走。这个听起来是非常戏剧化，听起来是一个非常不开心的人生的开始，可是对他来讲，他现在从50多年以后，他回头去看那段人生，对他是很重要的。那其中的有一个重要性，就是以像他这么有主见、有意见的人，如果让他去慢慢的把他的大学照规矩读完，说不定他反而活得不对。所以他为了让他的父母省钱，他就决定离开学校。可是他离开学校又不离开，他才读6个月就离开，但是他又待了18个月。为什么？因为他想要学东西，所以学习这件事情他没有减弱，他只是把自己的道路转弯。可是他在这些留在那边的这些学习，他没有钱吃饭，没有钱住宿舍，所以他只能住同学的地上，他只能去捡可口可乐瓶子去卖。你很难想象一个现在全世界这么富有的人，他当年在大学的时候是这样的在过日子。那我为什么要放这个影片？是因为让大家都要知道，在年轻的时候，如果你没有吃过苦，你这一生就不知道怎么成功，因为成功代表吃苦，没有吃苦就不会成功，这个是很重要的啊。所以从他的故事里面，我们可以看到他这个创造出来很炫的很多的这个软体也好，硬体也好。但是我觉得更重要的是去看到这个人的真实的这个人，他怎么活过来啊？他的这个活过来的这一段，在他年轻的这一段，跟你们年纪差不多的时候，非常非常值得各位去思考跟学习。那他在刚刚有一段话说，他非常幸运，我也是这样觉得我自己。你刚好可以做你有兴趣的事情当成职业，有很多人是做不到的。所以如果各位你现在在学的东西是你有兴趣的东西，以后也可以拿这个当职业，是你非常幸运。可是非常幸运不代表你不会碰到困难，他是少数的我看到从自己创办的公司被开除的创办人，那个是非常不容易的事情。但是他刚刚把公司带起来10年，把公司股票上市，然后就被赶走了。如果对多数人来讲，应该都是被击垮。为什么被击垮？因为痛恨，觉得不公平。可是你有没有注意到他说了一句话？他说被苹果开除是这一生最重要的事情之一，因为如果他没有被开除，他的所有后来的创意其实不会出来，等于是老天替他安排了一个上来摔下去。你知道上来摔下去是什么动作吗？我去大陆参观一家很大的做面的工厂，他们那面的机器是从意大利来的，他面 在那里用机器揉面，揉好了以后，开始把面拉长以后，切就变成一条一条的面，面变成拉成一条以后放松，拉成一条放松，拉成一条放松。其中有一个动作是把面就这样一带到将近3-4公尺，然后从上面这样子哗摔下来。我问他们说干嘛做这个动作？他说面没有摔不会醒过来，了解吗？我们手工做面不是也在那啪啪这样摔吗？面没有摔不会醒过来，面都需要摔，那人呢更需要摔了。尤其是像你们这种好命的人，这个需要摔一摔。好，所以你没有摔下去，你就不知道怎么醒过来。所以那个是他今天的这个故事，可以给我们最大的帮助，就是被你自己创办的公司赶出去，不是一件坏事，你都可以把它当成一个好事。他说他在被赶出去几个月中间彷徨失落了一阵子，他回过头来的时候，他创办了2个公司，这2个公司都非常重要。一个是 Pixar， 大家都知道，另外一个 Next 大家不要以为他不在咯， Next 的所有的那些灵魂呢，不只是灵魂呢，就真正的东西都灌在这里面。它只是牌子还叫做苹果而已，所有的操作系统事实上都是那几年 Next 做出来的。那这个就是让 Apple 后来又可以再复兴的原因，就是他那几年蹲下来，开始把 Next 这东西好好做好。等到 Apple 又请他回去的时候，他又把它放回去。那这个事实上是一个很好的安排。到最后，他跟大家分享的是死亡。我很佩服他有这个勇气，在毕业典礼的时候跟大家谈死亡。毕业典礼本来应该谈很开心的事情，可是我觉得去认真的面对死亡，就是认真的面对人生，因为每一个人都要去面对这件事情。那他以他自己过来人的身份，其实他这个事情讲完以后，他前一阵子又再得了一次，这一次是肝，他把整个肝都换掉。所以我说这个人是非常的戏剧性，他必须要去面对一个事情，但是你可以发现他这个人是很有知觉感觉的力量的。他在10几岁的时候看到那样的一首诗，他就知道说啊，原来人是要这样。所以他每一天醒来的时候就去问自己，在镜子里说，如果这是你最后一天，你想干嘛？这句话不要小看它，它很重要。因为如果你在做的事情是你不想做的事情，他说几天下来，如果我开始都回答说这不是我想做的事情，他就一定要把它改掉，因为那就不重要。如果是最后一天你不想做的事情就不重要，这个也是一个很值得我们学习的。所以用这句话呢，也可以让这个我们的课程呢当成是一个注脚，就是 stay hungry， 就是让你自己求知若渴，就是说像很渴一样，你要一直不断的去吸收。这个知不一定是只有书上，事实上是点点滴滴都可以变成你的累积。然后 stay foolish， 就是不要去计较生命给你的安排。他说你得了癌症，你就要面对它；他说你被开除，你就要面对它；他说生出来你的父母把你丢掉，你就要面对它。所有的这些 stay foolish， 事实上都是让他可以站起来更有力的基础。